Hello everyone, nice to meet you. So I have in my hand a collection of letters like this one, all dusty and fascinating letters that tell the adventure of Annabelle Underwood. And in this video, all you have to do is listen and enjoy the story. So for each story, I also created a cover like this one. You can tell me what you think in the comment and of course what you think about the story too. And one more thing, I prefer to warn you, but English is not my mother tongue. I promise I will try to do everything I can to improve quickly, and for the acting too. So this story is called A Mournful Night. So now I will summarize the first part for you if you would like. It is November 1910. Annabelle Underwood is returning from the city of Bath when her brand new car breaks down, leaving her alone in the rain in the heart of the English countryside. Invited at the Duke of Queensberry Manor, she unwillingly witnesses the icy engagement of Chastity, a young heiress promised to a very wealthy American, in a bargain where love has no place. After everyone has gone to bed, a scream cheers through the night. White silhouettes prone the garden. Then Chastity disappears, only to be found dead, her head blooded, as if placed there so she would be discovered. Accident, murder, staging, or ghosts invoked to draw attention away. As the family has turned to blame a foreigner gardener as a perfect cupid, Annabelle gathers the details that do not fit and realizes that behind this arranged marriage, someone had planned everything long ago. But who and why? Let's go back if you would like to know, and for those who wishes, the first episode can be found in the description. So now I'm reading the letter again. So I went to bed in my room to wrap myself in the comfort of blankets. A sudden bad feeling seized me as I drift back to sleep. And once again, my instinct proved right. 1 hour after everyone has gone back to bed, new cries were heard, one floor below this time. Struggling shouts between two men. I recognized the voice immediately, Edmund and Tom, the gardener. Once again, everyone rushes to see what was happening and how Tom has managed to escape his confinement. Both were in Chastity's room, where her body still lay. Tom was on his knee, while Edmund held him at gunpoint with Hugh rifle, Hugh standing right behind him. Their faces were twisted with hate and hunger, while Tom wore a crushed, inert expression, the look of someone who has lost everything. And he murmured the poor dead girl's name over and over with a tenderness that could not hide his attachment. Edmund shot at him to stop immediately, not to say another word, and especially not to speak the name of his fiancée, dead because of him. For me, part of the riddle became clear in that moment. The pieces were finally fitting together, and I also understood why, despite his escape, he has not tried to run away. The more the mystery clarified, the darker this investigation became. The truth appeared even sadder and harder to reveal. The two men brought Tom back to his cell and decided to take turns guarding him until the police arrived. He would not get out again, it was over, but I believe silence and solitude were the two companions he needed most at that very moment. I returned once again to my room to change and ask Françoise to lend me a raincoat. It seems, indeed, that sunrise could not wait if I mean to solve this case. Otherwise, an innocent man would be in prison for nothing. Back in the drawing room, I questioned everyone, asked each person present at the time of the tragedy, gathered every element so that I could untangle this affair. Despite the rain and the cold, despite the darkness and fatigue, I decided to throw myself headfirst into this investigation and go around the manor. For the only thing that I lacked now was a clue, irrefutable proof to solve this case. I inspected every place with the help of my flashlight, which I had brought back years ago in the United States, a marvelous invention, if you ask me. So, I returned to the crime scene in the garden, the greenhouse where Tom has worked before, and while inspecting the compost, I found the same smell as in the fireplace. Putting on gloves that were lying nearby, I began to dig through the compost. The strong fatigue odor made me want to vomit, but I held myself back because I was sure the key of the mystery was here, somewhere along the peeling, plants and rotting manor. It took me a good half hour before I emerged victorious from this expedition and placed the results of my research on the handkeeper. I returned to the manor victorious, but covered in mud and surrounded by such a smell that it disgusted everyone. Upon entering, I asked the butler to gather everyone in the drawing room, and I do mean everyone, Tom included. In half an hour, the time it would take me to change again, because it is true that at that moment I truly smelled dreadful. 30 minutes passed, and when I came downstairs, everyone was waiting for me in the drawing room. "Thank you all for coming and for allowing Tom out of his cell," I began in a firm voice, trying to keep it as neutral as possible. "If I have called you all here, it is to tell you the truth about the sad affair surrounding the death of poor Chastity. I ask you not to interrupt me and to listen to the end before cutting me off or arguing. I will explain afterward why you are wrong, but first listen to the whole of my reasoning. And no one loses their temper until the end. You will settle your accounts later. Is everyone agreed? Let us begin, if you will. This whole story begins about 2 years ago, when young Tom entered your service as a gardener. Chastity and he fell madly in love with each other, a beautiful, youthful love, blind to barriers and class. But one day the dream ended, reality returned, and the engagement between Chastity and Edmund was announced without everyone asking the young woman's opinion. The engagements and wedding were organized quickly, almost in haste, one might say, because she confessed she loved another man and you drove him away from here to be sure never to see him again. You knew, Duchess, you were aware of the affair between Tom and Chastity. So you decided to put an end to it yourself by expelling him and by ensuring you imprison your daughter in this manner. Forbidden to go out, forbidden to see anyone until her wedding, which would take her away with her future husband to the United States. Her departure would ensure the two lovers would never see each other again, and the matter, thus, would be settled. Except that, clever as they were, the two lovers managed to communicate using the language of flowers. For now Tom worked for the florist in the neighboring village, where you brought the flowers to decorate the manor daily. He had to change his name and hide whenever someone from the manor staff came to collect the flowers. There are 3 bouquets here. In the first one, you have Latria clandestina, more commonly called clandestine toothworth, which, in the language of flowers, means hidden love. You must have used much skills and patience to make those flowers bloom, since they normally do not flower before March. In the second, he arranged a few branches of black poplar, symbolizing courage in homage of the Greek heroes Hercules, and in the third is sleeping. Again, I do not know by what miracle he managed to make them grow in the month of November, spring, of lily of the valley, which symbolize the return of happiness. What a beautiful way to declare one's love every day, don't you think? And to send message so beautifully. And how did Chastity communicate? Also with flowers, but embroidered. On the handkerchiefs and accessories she embroidered and offered to the people who came to collect the bouquets. Staff items has been disappearing lately, or holes from moths and rats have been forming in fabrics. It was simply Chastity who makes them in order to give you her creations to wear. Thus, without knowing it, you carry the message to her beloved. From what I learned, the one who went most often was Amelie, and she was also the last person to go to town on that errand. The handkeeper I found lost in the garden represents a maple leaf, surrounded by a rosemary branch and a white dove, and in the opposite diagonal are flowers of scarlet pimpernel and an anemone, with the Roman numeral 7. Tom, You decoded the message without truly understanding it, and I cannot blame you. But what you know for certain is that she would join you soon so that you might flee together to Canada, where part of your family has already gone to settle. Yet you misunderstood and thought she was to meet you at 7 in the evening. Night passed and you still did not see her. Worried, you went looking for her and came onto the manors ground to find her. And make no mistake, she truly meant to leave everything to be with you, Tom. She was ready to abandon the whole world for you, but for that she has to die. It was the simplest solution. Die to live again. Be reborn from her own ashes like a phoenix. I found that burned scrap of paper in the fireplace as proof, and those plants in the compost. But first, let us interpret the hanky fur together, shall we? The maple leaf symbolizes Canada, of course. Rosemary, your presence brings me back to life, and the dove, freedom. Then, in the diagonal, we have the scarlet pimpernels, which symbolize the rendezvous, the Roman numeral 7, and an anemone, the passing of time or abandonment. This is where the misunderstanding between the two lovers occurred, because chastity meant we will live together and find our freedom in Canada once I have been brought back to life. And in the diagonal, rendezvous in 7 days. In short, she was meeting Tom in 7 days to flee to Canada after faking her death. The problem is that the language of flowers can sometimes be a bit tricky and have several meanings. For Tom, the anemone didn't symbolize the passing of time, but abandonment. He feared chastity would give up, and the rest, I grant you that, could be rather confusing. Now, let us return to what I found, since we know they intended to flee and live a new life in Canada. The scrap of paper comes from a book of the symbolize of plants, in which chastity advised certain plants, such as datura flowers and mushroom. All these plants are deadly, but mixed together in tiny doses, they can induce a state between life and death for a time, long enough to be buried and later dug up. A Romeo and Juliet poison, if you will. She prepared the concoction, waited for the effect, and went into the garden. She must have made noises, passed several times in front of the window, because her aim was that someone would witness it, that someone would see her die with their own eyes, so there would be no doubt. The ghost, the shadow Emily saw, were surely chastity passing repeatedly before the window. When she heard Emily rushes outside, she fled. She needed a place to die. Her choice was clear, the gazebo in the middle of the garden. Since it was pouring rain, it was perfect. But, unfortunately, she slipped in the night and struck her head on the stone bench. She had just enough time to lie down on the bench before drawing her last breath. The poor thing. And Tom, at that moment, who has been searching since 7 in the evening for her, hears the scream. Then, from afar, he sees the body of the woman he loved. You panic, but the embroidered message haunts you, especially the symbolize of rosemary. And you understand that perhaps she is not dead, but pretending. With poison, you finally understand the message. This is why you did not react when the Duke announced her death, but you did react when he explained how she died, because it is not poison, not as planned. You are lost again, devastated. This is why you picked the lock and rushed to the young woman's body. You still had tiny hopes she was alive, but no. Unfortunately, fate has decided otherwise, and misfortune clings to her. You discover she is truly dead. In this story, everyone seems innocent, and yet I think the opposite. If you had let her live the life she wanted, with whom she wanted, she would still be here, but you chose to see her not as a person, but as a merchandise, to obtain what you wanted. It is your greed, your avarice, that cost her life. Think of it every moment of your lives. Think of what your pride has cost you. As I finished my argument, Tom collapsed in tears. The rest remained silent, unable to speak. The police arrived shortly after, as the sun rose lazily, indifferent to the tragedy that had just occurred. I told them the same deductions, so they would decide how to handle the affair. My mission was accomplished, at least in part. Putting on my coat to go outside, I believe you have understood that part of the riddle has not yet been spoken. A barely visible shadow awaits me at the edge of the woods. A ghost? No, rather one of the silhouettes Emily had seen, and that I too had seen through the window. The key to the rest of the mystery had lied in my deduction, for what Emily has seen was not only Chastity's shadows passing several times, but indeed shadows of several women, and she could not have laid herself down on the bench while the blood has already coagulated at her temple. Someone has placed her there, and that someone was not Tom. Following the shadow, I went deeper into the wood at the edge of the garden until the figure stopped, and then 3 others appeared. Without any surprise, Emily was among them. I asked who they were and where they were interviewed. Only Emily answered after a few minutes, telling me that as an investigator and journalist, I must have my idea, since I have hidden their involvement during my explanation. A smile formed on my lips. You are part of the Sibyl's group, if I am not mistaken. I have heard of you in different places I have traveled. Women without a nation and without family, who live to help other women to live the lives they wanted. Women who do everything to help others. It was you who have gave the plans to Chastity, wasn't it? She could never save or obtain such knowledge on her own, despite her culture. None of her books spoke of botanic or poison, and she could not have hidden such a portrait from her family, who watched her so closely. It was you, Emily, who spoke to her about it and gave her the poison so she could live the life she wanted. You grew the necessary plants in the compost to accelerate their growth, and who would go searching in such a place? After she drank the poison in her room, you let her go into the garden, but you saw her slip and strike her head on the stone bench. You rushed to her and put her beneath the gazebo in the hope of treating her and seeing if you could save her. But with the poison, you were not sure whenever she was truly dead. You tried to wrap her wound and stop the bleeding. Then, with the help of your fellow Sibyls, you placed her on the bench, praying she was not truly dead. You moved her closer, so the family would find her sooner if she needed a doctor, didn't you? At that moment, you hear a noise and panicked because your friend has not yet escaped, so you moved closer to the miner, then began screaming and speaking of those ghosts to erase any suspicion about your presence in the garden. The noise you heard was surely Tom. The rest unfolded as I told it, I suppose. This is not the first time you have done such an operation, but luck failed you today. Between the weather, the fall, Tom and his misunderstanding, nothing went as planned, and poor Chastity lost her life. You play a dangerous game, be careful, even if your intentions are noble, do not forget. I could not finish that sentence. And there, my dear, comes the only moment when I was afraid, not of them, but of myself, because I understood what my next decision meant. To denounce them would to hand over a network that saves women. To stay silent would to accept that part of the truth would be hidden forever. I looked at each of them in turn, then spoke one last time. No more poison, I said at last. Never again. Not like this. Emily nodded, and I knew that promise erased nothing, but it was worth what all promises are worth. Little, and yet everything. Do you think I should have denounced this woman who did everything to give a future to that unfortunate young girl? What would you have done in my place? After that, partie 2, partie 15 et C2. After that exchange, I returned to the manor, and while searching for something in my bag, I discovered an invitation, the one Chastity has given me the day before. A sudden curiosity took me, and I opened it. How surprised I was to discover what was inside. Nothing. The envelope was completely empty. Surely the message she wanted to pass on to me before the tragedy occurred. A nervous laugh escaped me, along with a cheer, because if I had opened that cursed envelope earlier, her life might have been spared. Until very soon, my dear Annabelle Underwood. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching the video all the way through. Feel free to like the video and follow me to see what happens next in Annabelle Underwood's incredible adventures. See you soon!